welcome everyone to the Western Heights Montessori Academy Parent Panel Discussion. I'm Courtney Burchell, and I'm the supervisor at the West Oak campus, and I'll be your moderator today for our discussion. So today we have three parents who have been with us for many years to discuss their experiences and the values of our school. Hopefully after today's discussion, you will have a better understanding of who we are and what we stand for, and if our school is the right fit for your children. So before we begin, I would like to introduce our parent panel. So first we have Christine. She has been a parent with Western Heights since we opened in 2015. Western Heights technically grew up with her children, Dylan and Lenya, and she is a teacher herself. She's actually been an amazing parent with us and has offered us some great ways of making our school better. Our second panelist is Patrick. Patrick has also been with Western Heights for many years. Both of his children, Lucas and Oliver, spent their toddler and Kazi years at our Old Bronte location. Welcome, Patrick. And our final panelist is Shalini. Ira, Shalini's daughter, started with Western Heights when she was 18 months old and just finished her 3-year CASA program and now is graduating to start elementary school. So welcome, Shalini. Okay, I know it's been a while since all of you've enrolled with us, but why did you choose the school originally, and which ways is the school what you expected and which ways is it not? So to start us off, I was wondering if Patrick would like to go first.
Sure, no problem. Thanks for having me. In terms of why we chose the school originally, I'd say it was very nearby, but we did a lot of research in the area. We hadn't been exposed to Montessori previously, so it, quite frankly, it wasn't like a specific thing that we had been looking for. But as we kind of went through that and we looked at feedback from other parents and looked at the areas that really Montessori offered, in terms of potential growth for our kids. I think that's what really intrigued us and made us more interested in looking at the school. The reviews that we'd seen from the initial years of the program had been very favorable. We then visited the school, as we did with a couple of others, and really appreciated kind of the location, the campus setup, but the attitude of the teachers and the administration, I think, was really encouraging for us, not having been obviously first-time parents, not having been exposed to that type of program is a very welcoming environment that we felt very comfortable with. So I'd say that was the primary reason that we selected the school. In terms of your latter question, I think the specifics of what the Montessori program did meet our expectations quite a bit. It was something that we were able to pick up on relatively quickly, having just observed it very briefly, of the focus that it provides and the structure that it provides for kids to really be able to accelerate some of their early learning during that stage where they're very amenable to it. I would say that the pieces that I hadn't necessarily been anticipating, which was true of Montessori, but of Western Heights specifically as well, is the support from the teachers in terms of accelerating some of the life skills of our kids, where we noticed that they'd be picking up on things and even supporting them and say like their transition out of diapers and items like those that I wouldn't have expected from a schooling organization that I said really helped us out as parents. And when it came time for our second kid, I was almost just expecting those things as well. And that support was extremely helpful.
Amazing. What about Shalini? How do you feel?
Yeah, first of all, there's a story behind this choosing this school. I haven't done any research. This was a total internal reference from our very close friends. So when Ira was not born, like in 2011 or something like that, and we went to somebody's house, and then I saw a girl who goes to Montessori education, goes to Montessori school. And there and then I decided whenever I have a kid, I will definitely send her to Montessori school. So here it goes. We moved to Oakville, and then we got internal reference, and and I was so happy because it is a Montessori school. And what I expected from the school, it goes a long way. Ira is a very, very independent child. That's what I expected. I saw whatever I saw in that girl, I see in Ira. Like, I'm not comparing, but whatever traits I see, like She's very independent, she's very flexible, she's very, very, outgoing girl. She's not a shy girl. That's what I expected from this school, and what I got for this, like 4 years of education from this Montessori school. What I not expected, which is Helen already taking care of, is uniform. I always wanted my child to be in a school which has a uniform, so that I don't have to choose the clothes. And during this year, like the last year of Montessori, Ira was so choosy. Like, she makes me change her clothes like 3 times in the morning. I was so fed up of her. Like, I was like, I will send you to the school which has a uniform. And now it was the last year, but Helen is already doing that. She's introducing a uniform to this school.
Amazing.
That's
Yes,
it.
I know uniforms are a great selling feature for our school,
Yeah.
because the parents don't want to do all the laundry.
Yeah,
What is
it's not a headache to choose the clothes in the morning. It's really, really easy thing to do.
okay, and what about Christine? How do you feel?
Well, I think for us, and like similar to Patrick, in that we didn't have much exposure to Montessori coming into this at all. And my main thing, and I remember in my early correspondence with Helen, was saying that I just really want to find a place that is going to be a place that my kids love going to, that have teachers that love my kids. That was the most important thing. The academics I always knew would follow, but having a safe space that I felt comfortable dropping my kids to every day was the most important thing for me. The proximity to our house and my work as well played a big role in that, at the Old Bronte campus. And we actually went on a weekend to see the school. So it was closed at the time, and Helen was in preparations of getting the school up and running. So she was there with her family. And the first thing that really, drew me to the school was the big green space that the Old Bronte campus has in the background. I thought it would be an awesome place for my kids to extend their learning outside of the classroom as well, with the green space, the park, the paved area for them to ride their bikes and everything like that. That really drew me in. And then just in meeting with Helen and talking with her, the warmth that she had and the excitement that she had for the school was something that really aligned with what I was looking for to send my kids to. It met our expectations once our son was there. We knew he would love going there, and he did. He transitioned very, very well from being home with me for 15 months and not really being in the care of anybody else. He had a very smooth transition. He enjoyed going to the school every day. What we didn't actually expect was how quickly we would see his development socially and academically. He kind of just took off, and from 15 months went from, a word here and there to slowly stringing together more words into complete sentences. And it took off really quickly. And then we really were astounded as we watched him go through the toddler program and into the CASA, just how much he had excelled. And graduating from CASA with that foundation of literacy and his numeracy really paved the way for him to have extremely easy transition into JK.
Oh, that's amazing. I'm so happy to hear that. Actually, now that all of your children have graduated, what is the biggest impact the school has on your child? Shalini, since Ira just graduated, I was wondering if you'd like to go first.
Yeah, it's a very good impact from a school to Ira. She's very independent, as I already said, and very social. And the most important thing is she's a single child. And what she learned in the Montessori is child to child mentorship. She was the oldest in the Montessori, and she was mentoring her younger kids. Like, she is so good with the kids. Like, she doesn't have any sibling, but since she doesn't have any siblings, she's also very good with the kids. She's very caring, very helpful, and very, 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 very good towards the smaller kids, whenever she meets them and whenever she plays them with the play dead and stuff like that. And when she was graduating, one of her teachers were very sad because she was her helper. Like she said like, I will really miss Ira because she helped me a lot with younger kids, and she is very nice to her kids. And more important, she is very flexible as well, like in learning, in doing her work, and in taking care of her stuff. The most important thing, when they do circle time, they made them independent doing their own stuff. Like when they do the circle time, they chose their activities, and when the circle time is finished, they just clean it up by themselves. Yeah, I know the teachers were there to help them, but it is their responsibility to clean up the stuff and put it back where they are, where it belongs to. In at home also, like I haven't enrolled her for summer camp. So whenever she doesn't tidy up, I always told her, what will you do if you were in school? You should take your stuff and tidy up. And suppose this is your school and this is a circle time. This is what you have to do. Then she realized, yes, I will do the same at home, whatever I did in the school. So in that way, she has learned a lot from the school. So well, etiquettes, whatever teachers told them to do. Whenever she's done with her dinner, she took her plate and put it in the sink. Like, she is a very, very good child.
Yeah, so she's
And
grown really
that thanks to
independent.
school.
Yeah.
Yes, very independent, very, very.
Awesome. Christine, what about you?
I think I do agree with Shalini when it comes to the independence. I think that was one of the things that when my husband and I were talking about a takeaway from the school was the independence that both of our kids had gained from the program, as well as the confidence that we saw start to develop over the years in them. And I think with that, it was in large part with the foundation of the Montessori, in that it is a partnership where the older students really take on that leadership role. And in doing so, it helps to build their confidence as well. It puts in a nice foundation of learning for them, and that love for really, learning themselves, but also being able to support their peers and build those friendships socially and academically for them. I think it was a really great experience for our kids at Western Heights, in that the teachers created a really, safe and supportive learning environment for the kids, where they were pushed to do these activities independently. They had the choice with the self-selection based obviously on their abilities, but the self-selection, and then feeling that sense of pride and accomplishment when they were able to master an activity that they had been working on, and to see, their own abilities enhance as they went through the program, really built their confidence up. And like Shalini also said, with the circle time and the opportunities that they were given to share their own experiences through their show and shares, and sharing their work that they have accomplished, really, really enhanced their confidence in themselves and their own learning journey.
I know I see the students at our school just bringing home their completed projects, and they're just so proud. So thank you for sharing that. Patrick, how about yourself?
I would reflect what both Shalene and Christine mentioned. I've certainly seen that in my kids, with the independence and the confidence having been really important factors for their learning. The thing that I would add to that, that I've seen as a differentiating factor for their learning, that I see a lot in them, as I sometimes contrast them with kids who are in kindergarten with them, or as other parents comment on them, is their ability to do focused learning. Like, don't get me wrong, my kids are like running around the house like crazy the vast majority of the time. But when they understand that this is an activity that it's okay, I'm sitting here, I'm here to learn this activity, or learn this piece of music, or focus on this sport. You can see them engage, and they're really able to settle and calm and be very focused on the learning activity at hand. One of the examples of that is my older son, Lucas, was doing virtual school this past year. And to see them sit at a computer where there's no other adults in the room, and to have that ability to actually ingest the learning that is coming from the teacher through this virtual conference was pretty remarkable to me, and something that when I spoke to other parents wasn't necessarily reflected in everyone's experiences. And so I'd say that that's a big piece that I've seen as differentiating from their behavior, where they can be crazy kids the majority of the time, but when they know it's like, okay, I'm learning about this piece of math, or I'm learning about this instrument, or whatever it might be, their ability to focus, I've really noticed that as a big thing for them.
Yeah, especially with the crazy year we've had, focusing on the computer is, I know, a challenge for a lot of children. So I'm glad that that has been a positive part for you. So for our next question, it's if we were to ask your children, what do you think they would say about our school? Christine, would you like to go first?
Sure. So I did ask my kids what they would say. And my son is a very outspoken young man, and he was very quick to comment about the variety of activities that the schools offered. And he went so far as to indicate which ones he preferred. And there was a large variety of them. And my daughter, in overhearing the conversation, was, yes, I agree with that too, Mommy. They loved having that choice. And also the more challenging activities that they have to work towards was always fun for them. So when they mastered one and they got to move on to the bigger kid activities, that was always something that they really enjoyed. Another thing was, like I'd mentioned, how we were drawn to the outdoor space. That's another major selling point for my kids, was the playground that they have on the campus, as well as the bikes that they had in the sand pit to play in, building all those sand structures and having fun. Coming home with boots full of sand was always a fun experience for me. But also my daughter had talked about the extracurriculars that were offered through the school. And when my son was there, they had offered dance and martial arts after school, and my daughter actually got to participate in soccer, which was her first experience in an extracurricular team-based sport, and she loved that. She looked forward to the day that during the week that the soccer shots came, and that was one of her favorite things, in addition to, you know, all the different foods and the menu that they got to try each week was something that they both really enjoyed, because it was more exposure to foods that we wouldn't necessarily be making in our home.
Yeah, I get a lot of feedback on our food, especially from the children. So I'm glad they enjoyed it. Patrick, how about you?
Yeah, no, my kids are generally reluctant to share about some of these things, so sometimes you have to pry it out of them. But I think that speaks to where the things that they really do enjoy, because Christine mentioned their ability to kind of self-select. So the things that they remarked on that they really enjoyed. So like my younger son, Oliver, he really liked doing some of the math work. And so he, at the end of every day, he would comment on that to me, and he'd be talking about, oh, I got to this level today, or this was the activity. And he really enjoyed sharing them, especially going through kind of the photos at the end of the day and like showing me the work that he'd been doing. That was a big piece. I would say the outdoor play activity, I generally got a full-throated commentary on whichever play make-believe games that they'd been playing that day, about how they were bad guys or lions or whatever might happen. So they really enjoyed that piece as well. And I think really the ability to kind of self-select into those particular activities was big for them. Beyond that, I think having the weekly cadence of kind of additional activities. So throughout the time we had yoga, French, Mandarin, Spanish at times, music class. Those were things that I think they really latch onto as something that's not just an everyday thing, but like they'll still, Lucas, who's been graduating now for 2 years, he'll still speak to me about kind of some of those particular items. Like those are ones that he'll remember. He'll remember music class, and he'll remember Spanish class, even though that was quite a while ago now. The one piece that Oliver most latches onto, is my younger son who just graduated, is his detest for nap time. So I'd say that was the biggest thing that one of his motivating factors as he moved on to kindergarten was, I don't want any more nap time. He was just about done with it.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing. And what about you, Shalini? What about Ira? What would she say?
Yeah, the most important thing for Ira is I asked her, she said, I love their food, Mama. And I'm so sad I can't have their food anymore. I was like, really? Yeah, you have to have your home cooked food to your school from now on. Yeah, she loved the food. She loved the show and share activity. She was so excited every week to this time we have to do the videos, not have to send the things with them. So she is very, very open, very, very enthusiastic to do the videos for show and tell. And one more thing she likes is music. Music, she is very excited for the music. She, wherever she learns, she always is singing in the at home. And the most important part of the music was the concerts. She always like enact concerts. She every whatever child is enacting in that concert, she used to tell me, Mama, well, Lucas is doing that, Lenia is doing that, but I will tell you how will they doing that. So she's very, very excited for the concerts. And teachers, she love her teachers, love, love, love. Like whenever she doesn't eat anything, I just say, Miss Esther sent this to you, and she just grab them. She never asked me any more questions. She just say, okay, I'll eat it. If Miss Esther sent me this, yes, I will eat it. So she loves her teachers, love very much, and she imitates them. Like if I do this, what will Miss Esther say? What will Miss Arit will say this to me? So she loves her school, and whenever we pass through the school, like whenever we go from 407, she always waves to the school. Bye, my old school. I will miss you so much. So she is love her school very much.
That is so sweet. I'll definitely tell our teachers all those nice comments.
Yeah, she loves her teachers.
So how would you best describe the values of a school and the values of the families in the school community? Patrick, would you like to share your thoughts?
Yeah, for sure. I would say the things that stood out to me in terms of the values of the school would be kind of diversity and kind of welcoming. So like to me, it was a community that was very welcoming of folks, not just of different backgrounds, but also just of different learning styles and honestly, different working schedules. And I think that was reflected to me both in the staff, how the kids learned, but also the diversity of activities which they perform. Like I said, getting kind of that bonus activity every day that's not just part of the regular schedule, that's introducing the kids to a variety of activities and stimulating different portions of their growth was really important. And even seeing things like where they'd have those different days where they would remark on specific cultural activities that were important on those days, and they would bring in some of the parents to speak on those. I think that was something that was very clear to me in the values of the school, and I think was really important to help them come into the world and understand the importance of those diverse elements, which can sometimes be challenging if you're in a community where you might not actually encounter all of that naturally, particularly over the course of the past year and a half, as Oliver was doing his last year, where he's been pretty restricted in terms of the additional activities that he can do during COVID. So I'd say of the values of the school, that was probably the one that stood out most for me, particularly in differentiating it from other places that we've seen.
Thank you for sharing. Christine, how about you?
Hi. So I agree with Patrick with that as well. And I think for us, the values that Western Heights really focused on a lot were that it seemed to be a very student-centered place, very family-oriented. There was a large focus on, the development of really well-rounded learners. So academically, socially, emotionally, the kids were always at the forefront in considering with the programming of the school and whatnot. I think having the kids, be aware of how they are so very fortunate to be in the positions that they're in, but also being aware of the greater community as well, and creating, good citizens in the community with the yearly food drives and toy drives that really engaged my kids. They always really wanted to become very involved in that. Understanding that there's, this greater community outside of the little bubble of the school that is their safe place was something that we really appreciated as well. And I know one of the memories that my son really enjoyed during his time there was when they walked down to the seniors residence down the road from the school, and they performed for the seniors there. And he remembered, the smiles on their faces and the joy that it brought to them. And that's a memory that he still, talks about and reminds his sister of something that he had the opportunity to do when he was there. And then, just getting the parents involved, like Patrick mentioned too, with exposing the kids to celebrating all these differences with their peers, and having families be invited into the school so that it's really, an authentic learning experience for the kids, because it's their own peers and it's their friends' families sharing these experiences firsthand, and getting to see, how things are celebrated and artifacts of these cultures that they wouldn't normally be exposed to, was something that we really appreciated as parents as well, and something that the kids really looked forward to learning at the school.
Yeah, that's some great memories too. So thank you for sharing. And Shalini, how about yourself?
Yeah, Westernite Montessori takes a very holistic and flexible approach in their values. Like they have a focus of, they are focusing on the growth of a child, cater their needs, and very good in like doing stuff like field trips. As Christine said, like my daughter has a very memory of going for a field trip. Like she still remembers where when they took her to the Reptilia Park in Hamilton. She still remembers that. And I was also very like to send her to the Westernized, because they took the Casa students for the field trips. Like I was very happy that they took them to the field trip. Helen also told me that you should also volunteer, but I said no. I want Ira to be independent. I don't want her to be cling around me while with she. I want her to be with her friends, not with her mom. Like she can with me all the time. So these are the values I want in my child, which they already giving in Western Heights Montessori.
Oh, thank you so much for sharing. All right, I need all of your opinions. If this goal is represented as a single person in 3 words, what would the personality be like? Christine, you share first.
Okay, so if Western Heights were a person, the characteristics that I would say best describe Western Heights would be warm, caring, and inclusive. And so I chose these because I think that the warmth was something that was really important to us in an environment for our kids to be in. And that was something that kind of translated throughout the entire school. In the previous years, when we were able to be in and out of the school, one of the things that you noticed almost immediately as soon as you entered the school was that it was a very welcoming and nice place to be. You were always greeted with friendly smiles, whether that be from Helen or the staff or the other parents who are picking up and dropping off their kids. There was just a really nice sense of belonging and warmth that we always felt when we entered the school. Most importantly too, for our kids, being greeted with those smiles and those little hugs from their teachers every morning, it made a really nice positive tone for them to start their day. And it gave us that peace of mind knowing that when we were dropping our kids off, that they were in a place that was somewhere that they felt safe and really happy to be at. I chose caring because the teachers and the staff at the school are exactly that. We have only the best things to say about the staff at the school, and we've had the most amazing experiences, to the point that, we feel very connected to these teachers now, and they really take the time to get to know our kids and our families as well. My daughter grew up in the school. She literally, from like 4 days old, was at Western Heights when we were there dropping off and picking up our son, and the teachers were there and holding her and getting to know her as well. And it made such a nice experience for my son, transitioning from, being an only child to now a big brother, but having the support from his teachers. And when the teachers get to know the kids and they know their interests and they can, do their programming based on their interests, it makes for a really engaging learning environment for the kids. And so they have that foundation of the Montessori, but then they also have the additional aspects that really play into their interests. And it just, for young kids, is so critical in engaging them in learning at a young age. And for inclusion, why I said that was something that I also really see is, like I had mentioned before, just making sure that the parents are, always felt welcome and being invited into the school, celebrating all these differences and having the opportunity for us to come in and share about our own experiences and let the kids be exposed to different cultures, is something that really created a good sense of belonging, and a nice foundation of learning for our kids. So that's why I chose those three.
Oh, thank you. Those are very kind words, and we really appreciate that. Shalini, how do you feel?
Yeah, I chose responsible, caring, and focus. Responsible, as the Westernized Montessori is responsible for every child. Their whatever happens, like in the school, they always being very responsible for the particular child in their school. This past year is very, very hard for both for the school and the children and their parents as well. Like we are sending them to the school in this pandemic. They were so responsible that and very caring at the same time, that they should wear mask, or the parents should wear mask, or they should be outside the school, they should not enter the school, very, very following the protocols of the government. And at the same time, taking care of the child's needs in the school. It is very like hard for both Helen and us during this time. Caring, because the teachers, I felt they are very caring. They were very caring for Ira and all the other kids as well. They just take care of whatever they need in the school. They just keep them focused and take care of their stuff in the school. And Ira didn't eat food before, like when she was new to the school, and they did take care of that too. They told me if she will not eat after 1 week, you can give her home cooked food. Like that was a very, very good statement for me, because as I don't want, as a mother, I don't want that my child is like not eaten in the school. So that's the main thing. Like I chose caring and focus. They were very focused to the particular need of the child. Like, is it, as in CASA there are so many children with different age groups, but they were so focused on what will Ira learn in the school, as she was the older child in the class. So she was very focused on the learning of their in the learning of their academic stuff. Like she was doing addition and more advanced in learning in words as well, like more advanced words than the other kids. So they were responsible, caring, and focused at the same time.
Amazing. Thank you for sharing. And Patrick, how about you?
Yeah, I think Christine and Shalini had selected some of my adjectives already, so a consistent brand there. But I'll pick some others just for diversity. So I'd say welcoming, structured, and empowering. So the reason for that, I think Shalini and Christine kind of touched on the welcoming theme of really being accepting of kids from all all natures, parents from all natures, different schedules, having to shift things at the last moment, really bringing the parents into the learning process as much as possible. I know I really appreciated having the picture updates with the little notes at the end of every day is just, if anything, something to get a conversation started with my children on in terms of what their learning was about, which might otherwise have been relatively opaque to me. And so it was a very welcoming environment from the very first day that we visited, when Lucas was just 9 months old and trying to prepare for where he was going to be going, all the way through Oliver's graduation just earlier this year. And you could feel that all the way through. From a structured standpoint, we always knew what to expect, which I think is a really big benefit for young kids, when it's like, I know what they're going to be. I know what their eating schedule is going to be. I know when they're sleeping. At some points, I know when they pooped during the day. I know what types of classes they'll be going through. And so I know that from a short term, but also from a long-term perspective of having the progress updates, having those parent-teacher interviews. As much as they were not mandatory, we really enjoyed having them every 6 months to understand where our kids are doing well, where they're struggling, where we could be helping them more at home. I think having that consistent connection was really valuable to us. And so that structured nature from both a short-term day-to-day, but also long-term over the course of their learning journey was really important for us. And then the last one on empowering, I think we've hit it a number of times, of enabling the kids to be independent minded, to think for themselves, to select their own activities, to actively engage in learning. I think one of the biggest credits I could give.
Someone's at the doorbell.
Someone's at the door. One of the biggest credits I could give to the program would be like my younger son. At sometimes he'll come up to me and be like, "I'm bored. I'm going to go open my learning books and go and do some of that." And it's just not something that I would have ever anticipated for a 4-year-old to be like, I'm just going to go open this stuff up. I'm going to do it on my own. I'm going to come grab you when I need help, but otherwise I'll be independent minded. And so it was very empowering for our kids. So I really appreciated that.
Well, thank you for all those awesome words and encouragement. And I appreciate everything you guys have shared. So our final question would be, Western Heights as a Montessori school compared to other Montessori schools, what do you think differentiates us between us and other Montessori schools? Shalini?
Yeah, it's a hard question for me because I haven't sent her anywhere, but in Western Heights. For this question, like I think the main plus point is the campus, the big backyard. It's a plus point for them, as children can play like in winters and in summers both freely without any disturbances, and they have a deck too. So whenever there's a bad weather, my daughter always used to say, "Mama, we haven't been to a playground. We were in the deck." So it's a plus point, and the food also, the food and the playground. Both are the plus points for him, because I haven't sent her anywhere, so I can't compare to any other school. So
Understandable.
that's my.
Thank you. Christine?
So I'm similar with Shalini in that we've been with Western Heights for 6 years. Both my kids have grown up from babies at the school to, empowered 4-year-olds. But I think something that we really appreciate of Western Heights is the strong partnership that it has with the parents, and always making sure that the parents feel well informed. And like Patrick had mentioned, those daily reports are something that I looked forward to at the end of my workday. Getting to see the pictures and hearing about the activities that the kids had done throughout the day was always something that we really enjoyed reading. I think having that partnership is so important, because when you have the connection of the learning at school with at home, it really fosters a better understanding of where your kids are at, a good, love for being at school, because we can talk about what they're doing at the dinner table. We always appreciated those weekly emails that Helen would send out at the end of each week, so we knew what was coming up, what we could look forward to, certain songs and activities that they were working on in music or in Mandarin class were always something that we enjoyed looking onto on the weekends together as well. And it opened those, lines of communication with our kids as well. They got to share their own learning experiences at school with us, at home, and even with, their grandparents getting to, like Shalini had mentioned, show their performances and songs that they've been working on, was something that we really appreciated. And in those interviews that we were given the opportunity to sit down with the teachers one-on-one and get, a better understanding of where our kids are at academically, so that we can, see where we need to work on things a little bit more at home to help them and close those learning gaps that that might be arising, so that they are prepared for their next steps in kindergarten and elementary school. I think that was really important for us. So just having that partnership and that, communication always being open. Another thing that we really appreciated too was how receptive Helen always was to our suggestions. And I'm sure she'll agree that I had a number of those for her throughout the year, throughout the many years. But she always was so responsive to them and very welcoming, and always very student centered. And the focus was, if it was, best for the kids, then that's something that she was going to consider and see how she could best, take those recommendations and work those into the programming or into the school, so that, everybody was happy and it was in the best interest of the kids. And it was just very always welcoming. So I think that I can't speak for experiences at other schools, but just having that partnership between the school and the parents was something that we really valued from Western Heights.
Yeah, as a teacher too, we really value the relationship to have with parents. So I appreciate that answer too. Patrick, how about yourself?
Yeah, I think Christine and Shalini hit on a lot of the items that I would note. So certainly agree with everything they said. Similarly, haven't had our kids at another Montessori institution, so I couldn't comment on that specifically. But I think the one piece that I would add as I differentiate my kids' learning experience versus how they've learned at other institutions, whether they be schools or otherwise, is the investment of the staff, both the teachers and Helen as well, in their learning journey. Like, you could really feel that it was important to them that they are not just progressing, but enjoying and thriving in that environment. That it wasn't myself trying to impart the importance of that and kind of the importance on their teachers and on the staff, but they felt it themselves. And so when they'd have successes, I would often hear about it. And when they had challenges that were preventing them from progressing, I would hear about those as well. And so that level of investment in their learning and their outcomes, as much as we haven't been at other Montessori schools or other pre-K schools, it's not something I necessarily see in all other learning institutions, and something that to me really differentiated their experience at Western Heights.
Thank you. So we're finished for today, but I would just like to thank everybody for sharing their experiences with me and for sharing your time. We really appreciate all your loving comments to us, and thank you so much for coming today.
Thanks.
Bye.
Thank you.